Okay, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth. I think this is the largest crowd we've had on the show, so it's going to be kind of interesting. Um, I guess we'll just kind of go around introducing everybody. We have Nate Kapnicky, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, thanks for having me back on. If you've already seen the other shows, you already know who I am. You can find my work at cubbyhole.com. Start a podcast number one, work your way forward. And thanks for having me back on.
All right, and we also have TM Hands joining us again.
Yep, I'm back on the show today. You can follow my comic book. I'm on Instagram as TM Hands, or my comic book is Angel Protected, and you can visit angelprotected.com to find out more about my comic book, and you can follow me on the Twitters at Uncle Tomboy _.
All right. And we have the usual co-host of the Benevolent Asshole. Say what's up to the people.
Yo.
All right. Guess moving on. And we have a returning guest. I'm not. How much time have you been on? One or two or?
I think 2.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been like a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. We have on again Intuitive Inks. If you want to introduce yourself to the people.
Hi, I'm Intuitive Inks. My real name's Olivia Woodland. You can follow me on Instagram, and that's like the only place, but you'll find that at intuitive_inks.
Okay, and I'll post the social media stuff on the video stuff, so there's no need to word it correctly.
Okay.
And lastly, we have Jordan Farmar. It's cracking.
What's up, sir? I appreciate you having me on again. I'm just a very opinionated guy. There's about 50-something podcasts out there called Uncommon Conversations that I did that people might find interesting. We talk about everything. It was with left-wingers, right-wingers, people that fancied themselves non-political, moderate, a couple everyday people in the full gambit. Senor Filth was a guest, and yeah, if you want to check it out, that'd be awesome. But I'm semi-retired, so there's nothing new coming out anytime soon, unfortunately.
All right. So today, being that I'm not sure if it's really accurate to say if it's on the news, because that's part of the discussion that it's not being that much discussed on the news. Is the whole Palestine Ohio thing that's happened. How long ago was that? Like a week and a half ago or something?
This Friday, or not today, but 1 week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being that Intuitive Inks is from Ohio, I figure it would be nice to kind of let her kind of just go off on the whole situation, because I mean, I barely found out about it but maybe a few days ago, and that was only through alternative media. Beyond that, I've just seen little blurbs on it on maybe newsweek.com, but that's kind of it, kind of downplaying it. So I mean, I guess, when did you first hear about it, Intuitive?
I actually didn't hear about it until Monday, believe it or not. Not a lot of people were talking about it. It was kind of really fear-inducing and stuff, because it was okay, why isn't anyone talking about this? People are finally starting to talk about it now.
You mean like regular people that live in your area, or?
Well, people were talking about it in the area about right after the weekend, unless they were immediately within the a 20-mile radius of East Palestine or Steen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much coverage from traditional outlets they're kind of playing damage control a little bit.
Mhm.
But social
Wow, all
media
I've seen is
and everyday people, I've heard a lot.
Mhm.
yeah.
People are
I've heard a
paying
lot on
attention.
Instagram.
It makes me go the other way, and I'm like, why are we seeing this? What are they trying to? I'm always curious about what they're trying to keep the story, keep our attention from.
Yeah.
Right.
They like to play those games.
You don't have to say where you are exactly, but like how far would you say are you from the incident?
So I'm 50 miles. I'm about close to a 40-minute drive from there,
Mm-hmm.
or actually more like an hour. I'm actually an hour south of Cleveland, but I am west of it. So in a little bit north, like northwest of
Could
what
you see
happened.
the cloud from where you're living? No.
Probably not. I also wasn't out on that day.
Hmm.
It was crazy because on Thursday, like the day right before it happened, like I was out and about and I took my dog for a walk and it was nice. Like it was like 60 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio can't make up its mind on weather right now
Mhm.
because we're going like up and down like 20 to 40 degrees. So it's like one day it will be like 20, the next day it'll be like 40. It's just crazy Ohio weather.
I'm from there. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, when I heard about it, instantly I thought about the fact that it's right there on the beginning of the Ohio River,
Mm-hmm.
and that what that means is there's going to be lots of death all along that river, all the way down to the Gulf. And it was just, I mean, that's heartbreaking to see that and the way that it was handled. And, I didn't really see the whole story, but from what I did see, it looked very, I don't want to say, on purpose, but, it definitely did not look like it was some kind of accident. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but also
And
there was like a couple of other events that happened within the last few days
yeah.
that kind of uh coincide with this that are kind of that's the timing of it is bizarre, but
Yeah.
also the complete lack of interest on like mainstream news also says a lot. Um,
They're trying to distract from it 100%.
Well, they went after that the Michigan State thing
Did
with the school shooting.
oh yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
That because it's all for gun control. I mean, they could care less about that big mushroom cloud that just happened.
yeah.
They just want to go after the guns.
Well, they actually said that I heard that they weren't even going to send aid to
Yeah,
Ohio.
yeah. FEMA said, "Go fuck yourself," pretty much.
Yeah. It's like
And
Yeah.
they're not gonna have water, but I mean, like it's gonna be a second Flint, Michigan, I guess now. Is that
Yeah.
what's gonna happen? Like that's horrible.
Yeah.
I think the latest thing that I heard was that Trump was planning to make a trip over there,
mhm.
and like right when he made that plan, FEMA like they reversed their plans and they're actually going to do something about it.
Oh really?
And
Oh,
then
better.
the other thing, whether it was done on purpose, somebody was behind it. What really matters is that the response to it. So the way that this administration responded to it was very slow and kind of very, I can't find like the right word, like nonchalant, very underplayed what happened there, which makes me think that it was done on purpose. If they would have responded right away, like, oh, okay, hold on, like let's see what's happening, because there's a lot of misinformation from the beginning where at first they kind of downplayed it, and then they're like, oh, you know what, like you guys need to evacuate, and then they're, you know what, you can come back,
Yeah.
and then once again it's like a lot of conflicting information coming out. So to me, I'm convinced it was done on purpose. I mean, the way that it's being handled, if you let it happen, that is because you wanted this to
Yeah.
happen.
Have you guys heard about the movie that came out?
Oh,
White Noise.
it's like a Netflix movie or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's called White Noise. It actually takes place
Oh
like
yeah.
I think it's supposed to take place like in the 70s or something, but
It was in
it's
Ohio.
literally, yeah, it's in Ohio. It's literally like the exact same thing. Like you would think that you're looking at footage from the movie, like if you put it side by side.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
it
love
was
doing that.
crazy.
Yeah. I remember I started noticing like a lot of UFO sighting things a couple days ago, and I kind of had a gut feeling that there was something that wasn't being told, and then I found
Like
out
a
about
cover
this,
up
and
to
it
it.
kind of like okay,
It's just to distract.
yeah, because I mean,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
well, I think like the very first thing that came out, the spy balloon, I
Mhm.
think that was actually maybe like some kind of actual spy balloon that wasn't supposed to be seen, because the way that we found out about it wasn't through the mainstream media initially, because I can't remember the name of the guy, but the name of the guy was some local from Montana that spotted it, and that's how it was leaked into the media. So we weren't supposed to find out maybe right away about that. So I think that was actually like a real spy balloon. And
Yeah.
then they tried to control the narrative by having all these other things. They just start like shooting missiles at all these things. Oh, you know, it's actually aliens out there. Let's go.
Mhm.
So the way that they're gonna take control of this, if they can't control this narrative, they're gonna blame it all on the aliens. They're like, you know what? It's the aliens trying to poison, trying to poison our water, and they're the ones we need to
Hey,
like
they
fight
never
against them.
waste a good they never
Yeah,
waste a good crisis, right?
That's right.
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. They've had this plan to like the whole project Bluebeam like plan for
Yeah.
like a long time. Like what's his name? The one guy, um, Behold a Pale Horse. Like he wrote about it like years ago, and all this.
Cooper.
Yeah, the Cooper guy. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
taken out.
Bill Cooper.
Yeah.
Is there any like I guess local talk of like how this is gonna like affect the farmland or anything like that you know of?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been like doing a ton of research and keeping up to date on it
Mm-hmm.
because like it affects most of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're in the Toledo area, you're pretty safe. So I mean, there's like a theory regarding the farmland, but like right now, like the Ohio River, like it feeds into so many important farmland,
Yeah.
like strips of it. Because the more south in Ohio you go, the more farmland you get.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically like the way like our state is we're like a mini version of America. Like we're like a fun size version where it's like we do have mountains along one side. We have um you know, more flatlands and farmlands like in the south. And then, you know, it's just all kind of like on a smaller scale. So right down trying to like it's opposite. Um so if you're like going down this side, like the Ohio River, it's there's like a lot of farmland, especially towards like South Ohio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
And
that's all going to get affected
it's gonna hit
negatively.
Pennsylvania because it's like really close to Pittsburgh. It's right
Mhm.
on the border between Ohio and Pittsburgh area, and then it's gonna hit West Virginia. Like I watched Tim cast, and
Mm-hmm.
he was like, "This might affect us, but
Yeah, I think he
it's not
said
like
that
we can do
they're.
anything."
Yeah, I think he said that they're a bit like north of where it's gonna affect them. I think, but still, it's gonna
And
happen
then
somehow.
Kentucky for sure, but then I don't know. It might get like diluted as it goes down
Yeah.
more towards the Gulf, but
Even diluted
It's
water,
devastating.
yeah, well, even if it's diluted, it's still going to be poisonous. Like
yeah,
depending,
Yeah.
like if it's already killing off so much of like the wildlife in the water and the lakes, and it's also
Yeah.
killing off livestock already. There was a woman who was complaining on the news about her chickens dying,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a
yep,
guy with his foxes and stuff. Like with that being seen, like like that kind of contamination, even as it spreads down, it's still going to be damaging.
Yeah, I think the main concern right now is the water, because it's in the water, it's leaking. I heard that it didn't seep down too bad into the earth, and that was why they had the controlled burn, which I don't know how I feel about how that was handled, but
Might have made it worse.
it's pretty bad for the air. I'm kind of worried about it. I mean, they said the air quality's fine, and where
Who's
I live, I'm not worried because the air in the US kind of like it comes up from like the south and it goes to the east.
Mhm.
Since I'm west of that, it's not going to hit me, but it's going to hit Pittsburgh, or it has already. Um,
Yeah.
and it's pretty gross stuff.
Indeed.
But yeah, fish are dying. Farm animals in the immediate area, so the chickens and the foxes were in. I know the foxes for sure were in East Palestine, because the guy had like a little fox farm,
Mhm.
or he owned some, and like they were like dying, and it was really sad. And then the chickens might have been somewhere within like a 10-mile radius. And birds in general are very sensitive to air.
Mhm.
Um, they're very prone to like respiratory problems. Like if you own a pet bird, you can't use like any sort of spray cleaning product
Mhm.
because that can kill them.
Hmm.
And then fish. I know a decent amount about fish because I own fish, but like that's like the main thing because like fish are a good indicator of water quality, and like I mean if they're dying, then you shouldn't consume the water.
Trying to find that percent of. Can't find it. Of the fish in the water. Crap.
Of the
Of the just dead floating fish. Can't find it.
Well, all I gotta say is that I mean, I keep hearing people say, "Oh, well, trains derail all the time." Okay, do they blow up like that and have mushroom clouds all the time? Like, do,
that was
do what? Oh, go ahead.
well, that was how they handled it. The mushroom cloud wasn't from the initial derailment,
Right.
Mhm.
but they were like, okay, we're gonna have a controlled burn, and like it was already on fire. It was actually on fire for 20 miles before it derailed. And like there's very few people on these trains like operating them, and they called the company and they like this is just something I've heard. Allegedly, they called the company while on the train and they're like, "What should we do?" And uh corporate was like, "Just keep going," even though they're on fire, and then for like 20 miles, and then they derailed supposedly from a axle, but like it was like at least 5 cars containing the vinyl chloride um were like there were 5 cars containing vinyl chloride. Some
Mhm.
sources say, oh, there were 50, but there were 5 leaking, and you have to respond to that pretty quick.
They were leaking
And
before the derailment?
no, they were leaking after it
Oh, okay.
derailed.
All right, I see what you mean.
And I mean, it's kind of the worst spot for it to derail
Mhm.
because it's like right at the top of the Ohio River and almost seems strategic. And I do know some
Yes,
conspiracy theories about that, but that's not for right now.
it was pretty perfect for where they want to target. You
Mhm.
know.
Yeah. No coincidence.
Yes,
Or it's
Yeah.
all coincidence.
it's a coincidence that 4 trains derailed. I know 2 of the 4 trains that have derailed in the past 2 weeks were started leaking stuff. I don't know about the other 2.
Uh, where were the other derailments? I think one was like in Arizona.
Yeah.
And
That
was
one
a
had
semi,
nitric acid.
I
right?
thought the one in Arizona was the plane crash, because there was like a helicopter crash, and then there's also the chemical plant
I remember.
in Florida.
Oh yeah, in Florida too. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
I think there was another train derailment
there
today
was
in
another
Michigan.
one. There you go. Yeah.
right.
it's wild that we're like confusing derailments that all happen within a week.
Yeah. Well, and then you saw what happened in TJ, where there was a big, like, nasty sewage spill that went all the way up San Diego's coast.
Yeah, I didn't even hear about that one.
Yeah, like just out of nowhere.
When did this happen?
Just a few days ago.
Jeez, I didn't even know about that one.
Just a line of
Yeah, it was some weird stuff.
coincidences.
Yeah. All right. Right.
Yeah.
With all these like UFOs being shot down and just I mean there's just because it's all a complicating strategy the way that I see it, and I think because more people are talking like us, we're getting these stories out.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to talk about them and analyze them, and I think it's kind of weird. I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that, if they're not going to cover something like that train accident all over the news, but we're definitely going to talk about this, school shooting. Then we should kind of start to understand what their real narrative is,
Yeah, I sent to Olivia like a link of Newsweek, and you go down newsweek.com, like the top story is like something about Syria, and then it goes down, it's like Ukraine, Russia shit, and then at the very bottom, it mentions the Palestine thing, and one article is just like downplaying it, like, oh, it's not the next Chernobyl, so it's okay.
And it's like, why East Palestine, Ohio is not the next Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Because people have been people in Ohio have been comparing it to at least how catastrophic it is and
Yeah.
how much more it's impacting. Because
Yeah.
I think one of the issues with, I don't know if it was Chernobyl or Long Island, but one of the main nuclear meltdowns that we look to in history, where we're so scared of nuclear energy now, is that the people were like, oh, it's okay, and ignoring every single safety protocol.
Yeah.
And then it just got worse.
I mean, did you guys see the Chernobyl show on was it Netflix or something, or HBO? I forget. But
HBO.
yeah. I do think one thing that's similar is just people's weird in denial of it.
That's very true.
Even the people if you watch the show, the people involved with the Chernobyl thing, they themselves were super in denial as to the problem it was. It just showed how when people are so ideologically consumed, they can't accept things for what they are. And I think that's a fair comparison from the Chernobyl to Pleasantville. I'm not comparing that the exact chemicals are the same or some shit like that. I'm just saying just the approach that people are having towards it is very similar, and I just don't understand why the downplaying of it. It's really fucked up. And wasn't there some announcement that more money was being sent to Ukraine a day ago or something like that?
I don't know how much we have sent. We've sent so much to them.
Yeah.
It's they don't need help. Right. I mean, they had to force the people to stay and fight, and also Russia's not as strong as we think they are. But also, we're literally just protecting it for the money laundering that the politicians have going on.
Exactly, it's just to cover up
Because they're like,
asses.
ooh, this is our best country to do it in.
Yeah.
And it's easy
And
to
Ukraine is a
politicize.
strategic. It's economically a very strategic piece of the puzzle. Like if we lost all that food production, energy production, all the labs and everything we have there, it's a lot of capital lost. But it's all of this is just the corporate agenda at work, the news supporting that. The Ukraine, obviously, with military stocks, they're looking pretty good right now. So, that's why they like the war. Yeah, it's just good for business. And then with the railroad thing, it's kind of an interesting example of Biden being not a true believer, but being a corporatist or a corporate Democrat. He to save face and to protect the Christmas season for the profits and such, he actually betrayed the unions pretty hard, and they've supported him like his entire career. And he said, "Screw you guys," fired a bunch, and then hired a bunch of new guys. And I got a buddy. I work in dairy manufacturing, but his uncle is a railroad guy in the union, been there 40 years, and he says it's rampant with newbies that don't know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
And short-term political thinking has dire consequences, and there's something magical about it all happening at once now. It's definitely uniquely bad in this moment, mostly with the East Palestine issue, and everyone targeted around there. Coincidentally, Trump country, and coincidentally not getting FEMA support.
Yeah.
California is getting FEMA support, right? For the flooding? I'm not sure.
I haven't heard anything about that.
He might just be dropping the ball across the board. I mean, he's an old man.
There was flooding. I think that there was. I know that there were some people getting some kind of compensation for it, but I think that's ended.
I haven't. Weirdly enough, I live in LA, and California news is the stuff that I care about the least now. For some reason, it's like the people here don't
Same
care.
shit,
So yeah, like they're gonna vote the same. So I mean, I don't. It's hard to even to talk to
It's like,
people.
oh no, California's on fire again. We're all gonna die.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
year.
I think leftists are like more black pilled than like libertarians or conservative people on the right. They're like just who cares? It's like
Yeah, they're like super. They've become like super. What's the word when you don't care? Nihilistic, I think. Like they're just
nihilistic.
like have like this
there's no hope.
doomsday.
Apathetic.
Yeah, they have like
Yeah.
this thought of doomsday coming, but they're not willing to
Do anything?
do anything but change their thinking process to like reverse their doomsday.
I know a lot of people like that.
Yeah, and it's the most bizarre shit, and it's hard to try to get them to like think another way. Yeah, like
Have you guys ever heard of the phrase "keeping up with the Joneses"?
Yeah.
I have, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's an intellectual version of that, and it's the people that are hierarchy people. That's the way I would describe them. They just care about their position, their social status, and it's as Machiavellian and blank and heartless as that. They don't give a shit what they have to say. It's just about keeping everything good for them and cozy and them having their spot.
Right.
They're just system people, and there's a lot of that. And it's like believe what's convenient. If there's powers that are corrupt, don't get on their bad side and shut up.
Yeah, definitely.
Obey and keep your head in the sand.
Safer. It is safer.
To them, it's an illusion. It's an illusion of safety.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Because there's no such thing as ultimate safety. I mean, that's the greatest illusion that these people buy. More government, more socialism equals more safety for us. And it's like, no, it doesn't. That's not what it's about. It's about more control, over your mind, over your soul.
The less control you have over your own life, by definition, the more danger you're in.
Yeah.
And they don't get that.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Olivia, she sent me something. It was a news report that like may suggest that this might have been kind of premeditated this. Oh, where's that damn thing? Oh yeah, this thing. Let me share it. Oh crap! How do I share again? There it is.
Like one thing that people should always ask themselves, like when something is being reported on the news, like what this happened, is like ask yourself what questions should be answered. Like what are the things that you should know
Oh no,
that should
not
be
that.
answered? Because
Okay.
most of the time it's just propaganda, where it's just like all opinion. Them just trying to control the narrative, like trying get your thing. Like they downplayed it, and then people kind of like went with that because they downplayed it. But I mean, the questions to be asking is like, what are these chemicals? What can they do? Can they bind to water? Because I think the what's it called, the chloroquine, what's it called, the main chemical, vinyl
Oh,
chloride.
vinyl chloride.
Yeah, that binds to water, right? So it binds
Mm.
to water, and I think it also eventually changes into some kind of acid over time.
Let's share
I
the.
don't know how it
Oh.
is in the water, but when it was burned off, the controlled burn, it turns into some
I
kind
think
of
it's like a gas.
chloride. There's a chloride gas, and then there's phosgene, and that was a chemical weapon from World War One, a
Yeah,
choking agent.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was trying to get to. Like,
yeah. There's a clip of a guy explaining that. We'll play that in a second. But let's play this clip that's slightly offensive found.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, Elijah Schaefer is like
he-
the one guy I trust.
yeah, it's an odd clip. You guys can see
he
that,
just kind of
right?
like shoots from the hip. So
County coverage now, and East
Oh, this is from 3 months ago, by the way. So let's check that out.
Palestine is known as the place to be. It's way ahead of the curve on a program to provide better treatment for anyone in the event of an emergency. I learned how it works and how it could help everyone in East Palestine. My ID provides quick medical information for emergency responders. Darlene Chapman is the outreach coordinator for this project, and she's an EMT.
If they're in a situation where they can't tell us or they don't have any family around, this is something that would make my life easier.
My ID works by taking a camera phone and pointing it at a QR code. It provides valuable medical information such as allergies, breathing difficulties, or other conditions, so you get proper treatment and care.
If anybody sees the QR code, you'll be able to scan this and get the information. So it helps that person, not necessarily just here, but anywhere in the nation.
There are a few options for My ID: a bracelet, key fob, necklace, or attachment on your watch band. You can choose the one which fits your lifestyle best. That's up to you. Orders will start in January. The fire department has already collected $5,000 in donations to help.
That's our ultimate goal. We want to be able to give this for free to the citizens and provide them with that extra layer of care so that we can better treat them.
The offer includes Unity Township, which is served by the East Palestine Fire Department. These items cost around $20 each. You can even buy it for yourself. The fire department...
All right, so
where can they sign up for their 666? Right?
Yeah.
Jeez. I actually have, I have to use my ID when like I sign like personal information forms online.
mhm.
I don't know if anybody has any of you have ever done that, but like certain paperwork, like either like medical or even like for work,
Mhm.
like I would have to like sign it through my ID.
I haven't
That's interesting.
done it yet, but
Great. Well, now I'm going to like delete my account with them. Shoot,
Okay,
that's
I don't think
so
it's.
creepy.
I'm a Christian, and I don't think that one was. We'll know when it's the mark of the beast. No, I think it's just like an
Hey,
experiment.
it's ushering. I feel like they're slowly ushering it in though,
Mhm.
and like it started off with COVID, and then them talking about the what is it, EXG or ESG?
ESG.
And then they're talking about how they're going to do the passports, the
Mhm.
COVID passports. It's like one thing after the other. Like every single disaster that happens, they're trying to like get us to have some kind of like chip or some kind of like barcode that
it's
and they already explained that like the 666 is possibly the barcode number because every barcode has like 666 in it or something, some shit like
I've
that.
heard about that, but
Yeah, I'm
I've
pretty
got
sure
a-
I'm
the
not
introduction of
100
ideas.
on there, but yeah, it's like it's the same concept though, and it just seems like just hearing this, they're just using it again to try to like initiate the same concept over and over again until people like are afraid enough, to sign up for it.
well, I mean, like since COVID, like it's strange like how powerful fear is, and like looking at that, it kind of weirds me out, like how people kind of I don't know, like they become so obsessed with safety that like they've become so how do I put this? Like they almost like obsess over safety and have that replace like their daily lives. It's um, very bizarre. I don't know like how safe you can feel in real life, not just living weird.
Um, it's kind of off topic,
Mm-hmm.
but can I bring up this one?
Yeah, sure.
This like manga and anime that's talks about fear.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so there's like this story, and it's like it's just your typical action story fighting bad guys, but the big main bad guy, he's not evil because he's malicious. He's evil because he's so afraid. He's filled with so much fear that he's like destroyed himself and corrupted himself
Mhm.
and is fighting to corrupt others with that same fear. And it just kind of like, if you let it control your life, you become a shell of yourself.
Yeah, that
I,
is a big. Go ahead, Nate.
I
Is it
wanted to
MHA?
MAJ.
Which anime?
Soul Eater.
Oh, never mind.
I just wanted to add to what you said about well, safety, but also safety is security, right? The famous quote by Benjamin Franklin: "Any society that will give up a little liberty to gain a little security will deserve neither and lose both."
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get any more clear than that, you know?
Yeah, I remember like trying to like when COVID was in its most annoying here in LA, like talk to people of like not like letting safety. It's almost like people use safety as a cloaking device for what they're scared of, and I was trying to tell them like you can just relax and like live your life, and I was trying to just get them to just chill the fuck out, but it's this weird thing where like it felt like they were like trapping themselves, not like they were choosing to just be terrified rather than just look at
Mhm.
things objectively. Like like I'm a fat guy and I'm talking to people that like if I'm fine with I'm technically like in the bracket of like the most vulnerable or whatever like that. You're much healthier than me. You should be way more chill about this shit, but instead like they would like damn near look at me like I was trying to hurt them or something. It was the weirdest kind of revealing thing. Like you mentioned, it feels like they're sort of losing themselves to the point where like a lot of these people now, like my interactions with them, it doesn't feel like I'm talking to the same person that I knew before COVID. It feels like this
I
person.
think you
There's
cut off.
You cut off your
Yeah,
mic.
oh, did I?
Your mic
Shit.
dropped.
Am I good
the
now
mic
or?
drop.
Yeah, you're good
Yeah.
now.
Okay. Weird. Uh, yeah, but like I was saying, like now when I talk to these people, it feels like I'm not talking to the person they were before COVID. It feels like I'm I'm talking to someone that like they're trying to be the person that like mainstream media is telling them to be, the good model citizen, rather than someone I could just shoot the shit with, and
It split a lot of families,
Yeah,
even in a conservative place like Ohio.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, and there's still people wearing masks. I know people are like, "Oh, it's only in the
Yeah.
big cities." Like I've seen quite a few people like they'll still wear masks, but they look really strange doing it if it's not in a hospital. Hospitals, we have to.
Yeah, that makes
It's
sense. Yeah.
That's
it
how it
makes
is out
sense.
here too.
That's the only place I will wear a mask.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty amazing the people that I was talking to would talk like they understood cults prior to this whole thing,
Yeah.
and then lo and behold, you find them being part of this whole cult. And it's just amazing. I mean, again, like what you said, how different they are since then. Yeah, it's really it's crazy how they have took to this whole umbrella of everything. Everybody who made that change in themselves to be this different person, you can see that they join this big umbrella of a cult that is, the anti-white male cult, right? The LGBTQ transgender BLM,
Yeah.
you know, BLM versus BLM
Yeah.
cult. It's crazy to see how it's like, and then this. They've even taken in Muslims. They've taken in the Democrats, the liberals, and just they're building a team of communism, of socialism.
Yeah.
And but here's the thing. You have to watch out, because what that is doing to this, the uneducated white males who are being upset by this, they're starting to join cults, right? And so then you have, now they're playing each other off in this dialectic where everybody's in an imbalance, and that's what's causing this like really messed up wave friction between each other. And they're trying to get this civil war going, and I think honestly we're on in a some sort of awakening where we're starting, because I think they wanted this civil war 5 years ago and they didn't get it. And so I really do think we are being a strong resistance. And so if we keep this up, these kind of conversations, I think we can really keep that that bond coming.
Yeah.
We want to be bonded. We want to be we don't want to be divided. That's the idea. The true idea in nature is that we don't want to be divided. We want to be unified in our level of how we meet in the middle and not be at war. And that what a lot of people don't want to do is do the internal work to cause unity within themselves to manifest that outward. But it's you have to see this enormous umbrella, and I could go on and on about both sides, but it's like it starts with these conversations to be able to recognize that we have to do the internal work. There's no other answer to it. Because we're the individuals. We individuals, we're responsible.
I guess
we're responsible for what we do.
Like I've heard many people refer to this as like a spiritual war, and
Yeah,
like
absolutely, it is.
do you guys see it the same way? Because I do think there's a psychological imbalance going on, but I've been kind of thinking like how separated is like spirituality to psychology, like how far removed they are. Like I like
They're about 2 steps apart,
Yeah.
technically speaking.
So I do love I don't know if you guys seen The Exorcist, right?
Yeah.
Like I do
The
love
what?
The Exorcist. Have you seen that?
Oh no,
No.
but I know a lot about
Great
it.
allegory.
It's a great fucking movie. But I just always I saw it recently, like a month or so ago, and I totally missed and noticed the fact that like the priest involved, he has a background in psychology, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just been really making me think like if there's not a spiritual war going on, there is some kind of weird psychological war going on. I mean, I don't know. Who would be consider themselves Christian besides Olivia? Yeah. I mean, how do you guys see it? Like, how far removed is the psychological part to the spiritual part?
Well,
Jordan can go first.
Yeah, go ahead for it, Jordan.
I mean, I saw the Biden announcement of the 100 million workers that would be required to get the vaccine or whatever. It doesn't matter what the or was. It wasn't presented as much of a choice. I saw that as a mark of the beast moment, so to speak. I see prophecy a little bit differently because it's a prophecy in the book of Revelation. It's basically supposed to be a deep story in tune with the nature, in tune with the deepest elements of human nature. And it says that someday that will be attempted. Someone will try to take over all of us in one swoop, and it will bring forth, hell on earth, basically. And it will happen at some point, and anything that gets close to those circumstances will look similar. So the vaccine was one version. The tattoos in Nazi Germany were another version where they marked every person, yet the Antichrist figure being a charismatic, charmed the world, took over,
Hitler.
The Democrats and people of that era loved Hitler. He was backed by IBM. Like he was the man until he was shown, to be an evil piece of crap.
Could not to disrupt you, but
Biden is loved by Biden is it's actually bragged about by left wingers that Biden is liked by the world powers, as if Europe, not whether it's the Nazis or the Soviet Union or any example, or the French that just freaking bowed out in 2 seconds. Like there's nothing there for me.
Can I ask you a question real quick about like the mark of the beast thing? Could like having a social security number be similar to that?
No.
No.
No,
Why not?
no.
No, because there's nothing.
I'm
you don't have to show it to buy food.
Okay.
It's the thing will be used to keep you from resources. That's the cut line.
Okay.
That it's not that it exists; it's that it's leveraged in this way. But in terms of spirituality and psychology, one there's the book by Jordan Peterson, his first book, Maps of Meaning, which is the architecture of belief systems. You have to have certain presuppositions and basic values that you then use philosophy as the next layer up to interpret, that then comes into your chosen identity, ego, who you are. That's your psychology. So there's this natural relationship between your spiritual, your belief system, your belief about that aspect of the world, what your God is, and your psychology. Because if you believe your God is your own reason, you believe your God is your own intellect, you're worshiping yourself. And if you believe that there is no such thing, you're obviously not going to find any answers. But if you believe that there's essentially a deep truth to the entire universe and you place your faith in the right things, you can then actually approach your psychology the right way. It's deeply related. And we have nervous systems. Energy, electrical energy, moves in different forms and patterns within our bodies that animates us and helps control what we do. That's spirit, if anything is. And that's spirit in the sense of a radio, getting a radio signal, but us living is a song being played on the radio that moves you. That's human experience. It's not the science behind it. It's the experience of it that the science explains. But that's not what it's about.
How would you like approach the psychology and spirituality thing, Olivia?
I'll just say one thing and then like I'll need the original question again.
I meant like just
I
how
can go for a while.
how
so
how
I
far
don't blame you.
removed is like psychology and spirituality?
Like who we are, like our
Mhm.
minds and our souls are like this the spirit.
Mhm.
Like I believe like every human has a soul. That's what separates us from animals and robots. Not
Mhm.
that I don't love my dog. But like who we are is our soul and our mind is a part of that. I
Mhm.
think it's like super intertwined and like our soul's like the life in us. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not too sure, we can move on. It's cool.
Like FYI, it's like I'm 3 hours ahead of you guys, so I'm just
Yeah,
like I'm
yeah, I
drinking
know.
green tea to keep myself up. But I mean our minds, like I think basically what you believe in, your core beliefs affects
Mhm.
your actions.
Mhm.
It's like you can't it's really difficult in my worldview to like separate the mind and the soul.
Right.
Well, I mean, as far as salvation goes, you know, that's more based on the soul, but you have to make decisions and your mind
Yeah.
is connected to that. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
Are you saying the question is? Are you saying how far removed are the psyche and spirituality
Yeah,
from
like
the world, from the site or from the mass consciousness? Is that what you're saying?
me
I
or
was thinking
Yeah,
Olivia?
like,
you. Well,
oh,
well, Beto. Or sorry, Senor Filth.
I was just, maybe I'm wording the question too simple. Like, what would be the difference between like a psychological war versus a spiritual war? Like, what effects would that have on people? I guess if that makes better
oh,
sense, you know what I
oh,
mean?
that makes more sense.
Sorry about that.
Misdirection.
Well, I'll
That's the
say.
purpose of psychological warfare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're synonymous. They go hand in hand because to take over someone's mind is to keep them from growing spiritually. But however, the way that I understand spirituality is it's about going from our darkest darkness, the moment we're born, of ignorance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that that's a bad thing, and then we are on our own unique journey to find light, to find insight, to find out who we are and why we're here, and to find purpose.
Right.
And so, if you can get in the minds of the masses and block that from the spirit, then what you're doing is you are keeping everybody in the material physical body. And that means that the mind is only thinking materialism,
Mm.
right? That's why most people are in a materialistic mindset. But the true spiritual path, the way, like I said, that I understand it, it's about being honest with the self to find out where we are, wrong in our beliefs, and then learning from that, right? And but we're raised in a society. We're not even raised, but we're raised in a society that teaches us that we don't need to, go on a spiritual journey.
Yeah.
We don't need to question anything. Just go along to get along. Everything's going to be all right. We got this all covered, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what stifles people. Buy into that. They believe into that. They get very religious minds. They have a religious mindset, and by religious I mean they are bound to their beliefs, but they don't question their beliefs. That's what I mean by religion. So,
Yeah, I know what you mean.
so
Yeah.
for instance, like you think about a fish or let's just say two fish in water, in a big body of water, let's say the whole ocean, right? And they're swimming side by side, but one's in a fishbowl and the other one is outside of that fishbowl. Not saying we're fish, but I'm just saying like it's a pretty good meme that made me realize like, oh, this makes so much sense, because spirituality is about having that openness to learn who you are, to where religion, and when I say religion, I mean institutionalized religion, something that is it's a man-made construct that is in this little fishbowl within the ocean, right? And so this is where most people are at. Most people are in a fishbowl within a giant ocean, and they haven't started their spiritual journey. Most people, I definitely can see that you guys have started your spiritual journey, because otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation, because you care about what's going on in the world. You question things. You realize, I mean, I'm assuming everybody here recognizes there's a higher power, something more than us, right? And so because of that, we're trying to make sense of that. We're trying to reconnect to that and try to go in the right direction. That's what spirituality is about, going in the direction that causes no harm, the direction that is the opposite of lies and deception,
Truth. The path of truth.
Right, the path of truth. Exactly.
In the book of John, the Holy Spirit is identified as the Spirit of truth. And it's one thing to think of the religion as, well, this book says so, therefore it's true. It's a different way to think about religion as, there is a truth, and this is trying to describe it.
Right.
There is a truth out there about how we should live, about the nature of the universe, etc. It's out there. Just got to figure it out.
Right. Absolutely.
Gotcha. Let's see how much time we have. We have a little bit of time left. I guess. Is there any other thoughts on the Palestine stuff that you guys want to get off your chest?
Old man dad.
Did you say old man?
Old man dad.
Old man
dad.
Old man puppet.
Yeah,
He's not there.
that too.
He's really.
Puppet master's very bad.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. One more thing about the spiritual thing.
Okay.
Or spiritual warfare. Like, it is intertwined. I think there is, like, in my beliefs, it's a slight difference, but they're, like, heavily connected. You can't, like, connect or disconnect the two. Because in my mind, spiritual warfare is, you have two forces, God and Satan, or God and demons, but it's mostly Satan. Like, fighting for the control of people's minds and souls. But, like, actual way that the demons or Satan wins is by keeping people in the dark, like deceiving, not getting people stuck in that fishbowl, like you were saying. While like I believe demons have an influence on this world, and a lot of it's just deceiving people, spreading an ideology like modern day Satanism, where it's like you worship the self, and whatever you do is like the right thing to do, and there's no wrong or objective truth. But yeah, right now we're, as a country, we're being like split, and it's like we're so divided, because I can say from like my perspective, the more like conservative, the moderate conservative people are open-minded, but the people on the left, it's harder to reason with those people.
Yeah.
They aren't as willing to have an open mind, in my general experience.
Like I live in LA, so I mean, since you live in a much more conservative area, like, would you say there's the like, have you dealt with like the conservative SJW kind of type, like a closed-minded conservative, or is that kind of much more rare?
Close-minded conservative. Those are like, if you're like talking about like super close-minded,
Hmm.
right?
I mean, like, how often do you deal
Like,
with them in the same way like I deal with like super close-minded leftists being in LA?
not as much as you would think.
Hmm.
Like my mom is like morally and like conservative, and she is like more on the conservative side, but
Hmm.
um she, like, I get pushback just because she doesn't want to think too hard about things or get stressed out
Hmm.
by being like super red pilled or black pilled or whatever, or white pilled. That's a thing. And
Sprinkle filled.
no disrespect
Yeah.
to her.
All
Like
Rainbow
mixing
I
filled.
like
pills. Mixing pills is not a
Rainbow
good
pilled,
idea.
clown pilled. Like I and
I
that's
like
no
that.
disrespect to her. Like sometimes I
Hmm.
just want to like give up, uh, like just speaking my mind and being like, "This is the truth," or "They're covering this up," or "Did you hear about this?" They're not talking about it, and they're like, "What's your source, Olivia?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, you can't trust most of the mainstream news."
Yeah.
But
Well, like, what does your mom, I guess, like, how does she view, uh, like, the direction that the country's going with? Like, does she buy into, like, what the mainstream narrative is, or because she's conservative?
she just doesn't want to think about it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it.
because it's stressful, and you know,
Yeah.
like, I mean, like, she's conservative. She just doesn't want to know because it's stressful, and that's understandable. Because I know we like to get caught up in things, but like, there is real life too, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we just want to go and focus on real life.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, it's like how I live. Not, I don't want to be hearing about all the insane things people are doing, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, it's like I don't want to just personally, I don't want to sit by and let really bad things happen.
Yeah.
Not that I can do a whole lot, but yeah, I don't come across super
Like
like
pushy.
close-minded conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
They're like almost like, and I live in a conservative area, super like the right-wing Proud Boy types. Usually those are teenagers, or young guys that are very jaded to the
Mm-hmm.
world, and I've only really ever seen them like on dating sites, believe it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a tie-in. That could be a tie-in to what you're going to talk about.
I mean, we could if you guys want to spend a little extra time.
Well,
Or if you want to
I
go back
wanted
to
to,
East Palestine, but
I,
what did you want to do?
I wanted to ask you how much do you know? I mean, it sounds like you know about Satanism, and I'm curious how much. I mean, have you studied Satanism a little bit just to just to understand it?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool. That's good. I mean, see
like I
that.
mean, like as a I went to a private Christian high school, and we studied all religions, general like thoughts, like
Mm,
because there's like 4
wow, that's
categories of beliefs that like everything can fall into.
yeah.
Um, just understanding why we believe what we believe. I was taught from an early age to critically think.
That's awesome.
Because
Good
critical
parents.
thinking is so yeah, super important to be able to think critically and ask, okay, why do people say this, or why do people believe this, or
Mm-hmm.
that sort of understanding.
Yeah, yeah. I
But
mean,
That might be a discussion for another day. I'll try and be on the show more.
I mean, if you guys want to get more into it, I'm cool. I mean, yeah, we can go a little bit longer if you guys want to get more into that Satanist thing.
Well, I mean, you know, from what I've you know, learned, I mean, she stated, sorry, intuitive. What's your name again?
Olivia.
Olivia.
It's okay.
Sorry. Olivia stated very well. She talks about selfishness and you know, making rights out of thin air, basically, right? So if you look at the tenets or principles of the four principles of Satanism from the actual Church of Satanism, it states that, you know, the first principle is it's all about, you know, self-preservation, meaning like selfishness. It's all about me. It's all about what my desires are, right? And then the second one is moral relativism, the idea that there is no such thing as objective truth. There is no right and wrong. And then the third is social Darwinism, which is like, you know, it's the belief that the most ruthless gets to rule over others, and we have to support that, right? And then the fourth one is the, you know, the belief in eugenics, you know, that we can just kind of, you know, go and, you know, get certain races to be separate and segregated and raise them a certain level and make everybody else suppressed in their genes. And that's exactly what's going on with this whole vaccine nonsense.
Also
And that's,
aborting babies and
yeah,
autistic people.
absolutely. That's all part of it. And so I think these, you know, people need to know about these tenets because, I mean, that's exactly what people are all pushing in this whole country or around the world.
But everyone, if you talk too much about it being like, well, this is like modern Satanism or whatever, they'll be like satanic panic.
Oh yeah, God.
And it's like, it's like, I mean, I wasn't one of the conservatives who are like, oh my goodness, did you see the what was it, the Grammys?
Grammys, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, oh my goodness, have you seen this? I'm like, people have been at this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah,
it's like,
it's just more blatant now.
It just shows you how far gone we are, and I think a lot of things are a punishment to America for like how far we've gone. But
yeah, to the whole world. Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, I look at
when you start treating things other than truth, like niceness, and like this shallow social politeness, as more important than truth, the world's going to fall apart.
Yep.
To tie the psychology spirituality thing together, the worship of the self, and the truth that you, they literally say your truth, the truth that you believe is true is what matters.
Yeah.
It shows up in all this gender stuff. That's what it all is. It's all
my truth versus
the category of male
truth.
or female. I mean, if you're intersex, okay, pause. Let's put you to the side.
There's still
rare case,
like,
but
one or
with
the
the male
other.
female thing, like half the population, 4 billion people are male.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna feel constricted by that identity. That's stupid. Like half the planet, and it's too constrictive. Like it, even if you get into their own psychology, it's silly and it's stupid, and it's. I think a lot of it's like social games, seeing how much they can push people that get off on like, well, this person will play whatever fantastic game I want to play. They don't care.
Yeah.
They just need a friend. It's a lot of that shit.
Yeah.
I know a lot about that stuff and just kind of what goes into it. But
a lot of it is just confusion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
you get to make up your
the
new fake identity that's based on a loose idea of gender that's just like it's just pure fantasy, but also you have to validate whatever arbitrary crap I come up with that is how I identify. Like it's
there's this like
psychotic.
Yeah, there's this rabbit hole if you go on Pinterest and if you type in a gender flag, there's new gender flags made every day. It's based on
Yeah.
like characters, or like there's straight up ones that are based on a song or a gender based on an anime figure, not the actual character of the anime character, but the figure. Like, I relate to a Hatsune Miku statue. It's so ridiculous. So it's like
It can
social
get
contagion, and it's
it
mostly
can,
young people that are getting this.
Yeah, that's what makes like the me trying to explain like why like drag story hour is not a good thing, because it'll kind of like rabbit hole someone to just live in a state of confusion and denying reality.
Yeah.
And
I think.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, just
Oh,
say
I
go
I was
ahead.
gonna say just go ahead, but I was gonna say something afterwards.
no, that was it. That's all I had.
Oh, I was gonna say we are in a spiritual war in the sense that I think a lot of these people that display these characteristics that were like going against the truth is they weren't born that way. The thing is I think everybody's born with a soul, and then over time you're challenged, you're tempted by a lot of these bad things, by these bad spirits that exist. Maybe not in our world, but in, I guess, a different sort of like the spiritual world. And the choices that you make, you have to be very careful, because the more bad choices that you make throughout your life, that's when those spirits or dark entities start to attach to you. And then that's why some people start changing over time. And a lot of it has to do with people becoming alcoholics, just like indulging in drugs and doing all these different things. I don't know if
Yeah.
have you guys ever seen the not the Grudge, not the the Shutter? It's like there's like a Thai version. It's like
Shutter.
a horror movie.
The Shredder?
No,
Never.
Shutter, like a camera has like a shutter.
Yeah, I know. I
Oh,
haven't.
Shudder.
Okay, there's like a Thai version from like a long time ago. It was remade, but in the movie, without explaining what the movie's about, the whole synopsis, throughout the movie, there's this main character that keeps taking pictures of his girlfriend throughout the story, and then in the pictures, he keeps seeing this spirit because of something that he did in in the very beginning of the story, and then he's haunted by this spirit, and then he keeps complaining about this back pain throughout the movie, just like, what
Oh,
the
yeah,
hell's
I've seen
going
that
on? And
movie.
then eventually, towards the end of the movie, he just goes crazy, and then they put him like in an asylum, and then at the very end, you see this spirit on top of him, just like holding him down.
Hmm.
So I think that's what would happen. What happens to a lot of people is that they're actually being possessed by like dark spirits, and that's the spiritual warfare that we're going through. And it's like we're drawing a line between the people that believe in the truth and people that don't. And the more you stray from that truth, the more vulnerable you become to those spirits attaching to you. And I've noticed, like, even in my life, the more I participate in those, like, I don't do that stuff anymore, like any of those bad habits, like, but I noticed that I was changing into something that I wasn't happy with, and the more I got away from making better choices, the better my life became. So it really all comes down to like the choices that you make in your life. The more you give and do things for your family and for yourself, like, I mean, like these positive things, and you keep leaning on truth, and you're honest with yourself, I think that's when you ultimately you're guiding yourself through God, and that's the way you can protect yourself from what's happening to all these other people. Because it's I don't know, that I think that's why all of us are kind of going crazy, because it's not that we all just want to live our own lives, but we keep saying things, or like, that's not true. I mean, why
Yeah.
that guy's not a woman, or that's not that that's not the truth. That's not
Yeah.
why what's going on here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a spiritual war that we're going through. I think there's really dark entities and spirits trying to seduce us into doing all these bad things.
To add on to that, it's interesting that you said that. That's basically what my comic book is about. It's about like like dark entities influencing the masses, like just the human population, until their soul is so corrupted by that negative energy because of their influence that eventually they just give themselves over to darkness. What I've noticed is that like a lot of like these influencers online and stuff, they call them influencers because they're influencing the young to think in this dark way, and that dark energy is just basically taking over their life eventually. And then it all starts with just the confusion part. Young kids, they don't know what they like and what they're doing in this world. And then when these influencers come into their lives, or they're watching them on TikTok or YouTube or whatever, they want to be like them because they think that they're cool. They're doing all this cool shit stuff. Pardon my
You
French.
can curse it.
They're showing them this way, and then what I've noticed the most is that they're showing them all this dark stuff as it being good. Me and my daughter have been watching, like we were watching Velma.
Yeah.
And immediately in the first episode, there's Illuminati symbolism. There's just like she's being plagued by demons and stuff, and like all this stuff kind of just ties into that kid mind. They're confused because they're going through all these hormone changes.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand, like people don't seem to understand that you're going through a chemical imbalance. So then psychologists do. They understand what's going on. So then they train these influencers to be online to teach young kids that no, you're special, and the only way that you can be special is to be like this. And I'm special because I don't identify as anything. I'm not human. So, and then it just like spirals into this confusion role, and then the kid doesn't know what they are anymore, and then that adds into their depression and their anxiety, and and then they can't identify with anything anymore. So then they think that they're special for it, but they don't, because they're so confused. And then eventually they just eat themselves away, and give themselves over to evil, and then that evil turns them into tells them to cut off their genitals, mutilate yourself, because this is how you're going to become what makes you even more special. It just constant confusion.
It's so evil.
Yeah, it is evil. And it is very dark and demonic. I feel like the evil part though is more on the influence of pushing them towards it more and more. TV's doing it. Now video games are doing it. Just all these celebrities are telling kids like constantly all the time. Look at what's his name? And his wife. She's they just made his son.
Oh, Dwayne Wade.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, look at that. Like, these celebrities are trying to shove their kids into it because they want to show other little kids that it's okay to act this way, because they're already in that occult, and they're trying to push everybody farther away from God.
Yeah.
I think that's like their ultimate goal, like, is to push the human soul farthest away from God, so then Satan and any evil entities can enter their spirit and take over.
It's about breaking the will.
Yeah.
It's have you guys ever seen Rosemary's Baby?
Oh yeah, I love that movie.
Great.
That's exactly what it is. It's just all about these dark entities that are consuming the minds of these. Well, and I just wanted to say something. I heard you say occult, and I wanted to say, well, we have to be careful with that word, because occult just means hidden, and cult is really what it is. It's a dark cult, but it's also about understanding the dark occult, because the dark occult, the dark hidden, are the dark beings that are hidden from sight, that are the dominators of people's minds, the dark psychologists, right? And that's exactly what those people are in that movie, who bring Rosemary into their life, or they mind control her and her husband into their life, and then they basically get them to have a baby born into their dark hands of slavery. That's exactly what that's about. And man, that's a dark movie, but that's exactly what you're talking about.
And then Roman Polanski, I think that's his name. Like, isn't he the one that drugged
her husband?
I think,
wasn't it?
The one that raped that 13-year-old kid.
He drugged that 13-year-old girl, and then I think he fled the United States and to evade being arrested. And I think, was it like Oprah? I think that defended him.
A lot of
celebrities.
celebrities
It could have been like
did.
somebody else. It could have been somebody else.
I think he was even given an award years later in the Academy Awards. I can't remember for what, but yeah, he's pretty much scot free on that. So
yeah,
pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
Good times. Anyways, I guess we should kind of start wrapping it up. I mean, I kind of like this kind of talk, but yeah, we can't go on forever.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so stoked to be here with you guys and talk about these things, because it's not something. I mean, the higher I'm assuming that all of you guys have had trouble maintaining friendships with your friends and family, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's I have but that's because mostly all my friends were liberals and Democrats, right? So it's very strange, and I don't really have that many conservative friends. I have more anarchist friends than anything, and by anarchists I just mean friends who are trying to just be free from rulers. That's all that means.
Yeah.
Or that's what anarchy means. People misuse that. Well, that's what they try to confuse that word too. But anyway, it's just it's nice to get on here and talk with like minds, is what I'm trying to say, and I appreciate you guys. So
yeah,
thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
I guess before we go, TM, does your dog have anything to say?
Probably he's trying to bring me his toys.
All right, I guess we'll end it there. I guess just go around if you guys want to plug anything. Nate, you want to plug anything?
Yeah, if you guys want to follow me on, you can find me at Telegram. If you're on Telegram, you can find me at Outcasting with Nate Cap, and I share all my weekly videos of Outcasting, and I also share my Cubby Hole episodes. So I have 2 podcasts, 1 audio, 1 video, and they are all about helping us on our spiritual journey to raise our frequency and raise up out of our darkness and our ignorance towards light. And that's all it's meant for. And so you're more than welcome to come check it out, and hopefully it benefits you. Thank you.
Tia?
You can find me on Instagram at tmhandsartist, and you can follow my comic book Angel Protected. It's both on angelprotected.com and at Angel Protected on Instagram, and I'm on Twitter at Uncle Tomboy, where you can find my weird, funny videos.
Benevolent, you have anything to plug, or are you good?
No, I'm good. Moving on.
Olivia, I mean, you have anything to plug?
Just my Instagram. You can find my art there and cosplay stuff. I really need to separate my account, like my belief account, from my belief content, where I'm like posting all this like really weird conservative stuff from my business that I'm trying to figure out. But
yeah,
you can follow me
here.
at intuitive_inks.
Yeah.
I do commissions and collaborations. That's about it.
All right, cool. Jordan, you want to plug anything?
Don't follow me. Don't look into any of my stuff. Forget I ever existed.
All
All
right.
right. I guess we'll end it there. Olivia, Nate, Jay, TM, thank you guys for coming on. And thank you guys for watching. Peace.
What about me?
Oh, Benevolent, you're good too. All right, man.
I'm good. I'm just kidding.
All right. See you, dude. Bye.